All right, so let's talk about batteries. As you can see, I'm working on some battery issues. So I've got my batteries pulled out. I needed a new charger, so I got a Minn Kota Precision 3-bank, 6 amps per bank. So I wanted to share something so that this doesn't happen to somebody else. A few months ago, I had a new trolling motor put in. I got a 24 volt trolling motor, which I had a 12 volt prior. So I had two batteries in here, and I had a 2-bank charger. That it was in the boat when I bought it. The charger was an older BPS XPS 2-bank charger, and it basically, when both the batteries on the 2 banks were charged, it would say, okay, you're done charging. So if one battery is, let's just say the trolling motor battery needs more charge, it would charge both. It wouldn't read each one and treat each one separately as a separate battery. It would just say you're done. It would be either it's charging, and then it would say you're finished charging. So when I got the 24 volt, I had them put in another battery in. They just left it. They hooked them up in series, but they left the 2 batteries, the cranking battery and the first trolling motor battery was in there before I upgraded. Those were on the 2 banks. They never told me that I needed to get a 3-bank charger so that every battery has its own bank. So what it was doing was it was trying to charge that 3rd battery that wasn't hooked up directly to a bank. And it just cooked. It actually ruined. I had a really nice interstate cranking battery. I plugged it in and came in here 3 weeks later and unhooked the charger, run up to the lake, and either my trolling motor batteries weren't running full capacity. Then my cranking battery would say it's charged, and then I would go out to the lake, drive an hour and a half, and get out there, and it wouldn't crank. I'm like, what the heck? So found out that was the reason, that I was running it on a 2-bank charger with 3 batteries. And it wasn't treating each battery separately, so it just kind of probably cooked all the fluid out. I just started noticing that the battery's getting hot as well, trying to get it charged. I'm like, okay, now it's charged. I come back today and it says it's half charged. I'm like, it's weird. I can hear it simmering inside. I started smelling sulfur. I got the battery out of here, went and got another one, and basically had a short cell. Now I have the 2 trolling motor batteries, and I got this new Minn Kota Precision charger, 3-bank, and it treats each battery separately. I have three banks, 3 batteries. When the cranking battery's done, it'll go right into a maintenance mode, and then, after I think 24 hours, it goes into a long-term maintenance mode. But I noticed that wasn't fixing it. That's when I realized that it was still getting hot, and so I took it in, got a new one. So I got this AC Delco cranking battery. I'm running the two other banks on my 2 trolling motor batteries. And one of my trolling motor batteries will come up to charge, and then I'll come back today, and it looked like it was either 50% or 75%. And it was keep going back and forth. I would unplug the charger, plug it in, and it would say it's 100, and then it would go back down. So then I took that out, checked, and of course I'm put my ear up to it, and I hear it simmering a little bit. Opened up, and of course it's been cooking. That battery as well has been cooked down by this other. Because it's trying to get that 3rd battery, it doesn't have a bank, done, and it's cooking the other trolling motor battery, boiling it down. So I'm going to put some distilled water in it. I'm going to hook all these batteries up and make sure that this fixes the problem. Hopefully there's not the beginning of a shorted cell in that battery as well. Hopefully putting in some electrolytes will fix that. So that's where I'm at. And then I'm going to install this underneath there. I'm gonna have to do a little creative mounting because there's not a lot of room, and there's not a lot to mount. I can't mount all 4 of these screws on each corner to it. The bracket kind of goes as a T. So this side, these 2 will go in. I got some stainless screws, obviously because I'm dealing with aluminum, and then it runs sideways like a T. And there's nothing for these 2. So I made this little plastic. I'm gonna double it up. I'm going to attach it through these two holes here on this side, and then I'll be able to mount that bracket that goes sideways. I'll be able to mount it to this right here. Hopefully that'll solve all the problems, but it's been kind of a headache. And, you know, just it's kind of disappointing that people just hook you up and send you on your way, and they're supposed to know these things. I didn't know you needed 3 banks or 3 batteries. I'd assumed they hooked it right back up and it was going to be fine and work, but not the case. So anyway, let's do this. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pop off these caps, which I've already checked. They are definitely low on electrolytes. I'm going to use my light to look down in there, and there's definitely exposed plates, and that's not good. I'm going to start adding some water. I need distilled water. The only reason I'm sharing this is it's expensive to ruin these batteries, and you don't want to overfill them. This battery's thirsty. And it's taking a lot of water. Because basically what happened was the charger didn't know when to stop. And that's the good thing about this particular charger that I got, is that it analyzes each battery separately. And when one's done, the other ones can keep going. They're not all being charged because there's a problem with one. It's not continuing to charge all of them. At least that's what I'm seeing. Maybe there's a better explanation for it than that, but all right. I don't know if you can see that. That's how much water that took. Crazy. That's crazy. All right. Whatever. All right, so now we have, this is the old battery. I filled it up and cleaned it all up really nice on the outside. And then this one here is the one that was not hooked up to a charger bank. And this battery, check the fluids in here, everything's fine. So then I have over here, I have a new cranking battery, which it's brand new, so I'm not even going to check it. So we're now going to go ahead and install. We're going to go ahead now and install the charger. So this is now going to go back up underneath there in that compartment. And so I've got some large 1/4-inch stainless sheet metal screws, and let's go ahead and put it in. All right, so there it is. It's mounted in the back. And now I can go ahead and get the batteries in, get everything hooked up, and hopefully that'll be it. All right, I'm gonna start with the cranking battery. That's gonna go all the way up underneath further in. It's easier to hook everything on and then put it in. And what I'll do is I'll put this over the top. It's real tight fit, so I will move it in so that nothing here hot will touch anything that's metal or aluminum or whatever. So this is number 1. Here's my 3 leads. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. This one's labeled number 1. That'll be my crank. That'll go on my cranking battery. This is my electronics. I'll put that on next. Then I put on the cranking cables, hot and cold. So I made sure I got all my negatives. These are all positive on the positive. These are all negative on the negatives. I'm going to leave these a little bit loose so that as I'm moving it in there, it doesn't crimp and pinch one of these and damage the connection wires. And once I get it in, with these facing, this will be turned this way. So once I get it in, I'll have access to these with a wrench to go ahead and finish tightening them once I get them in. But that's the reason I'm going to do that. So there, that battery's back up under there. And now I'll just get these 2 in here and we'll wire them up with them being in there. So here we have battery number 2. So I have I have my positive on the positive, negative. This is the charger bank number 2. I also have the negative for the trolling motor is on this battery with the low side battery. I'm going the positive to the negative of battery number 3, which makes this battery in series, which creates two 12-volt batteries into a 24 volt. Now this is different from being parallel. Parallel, you would hook them together, positive, positive, negative, negative, and you would just have extra 12 volt power. And then here we have the positive charger to the negative charger. And then of course, like again, the positive to the trolling motor on this battery. So I'll go ahead and drop these in and hook up the charger and make sure everything is working right. Hopefully this is gonna cure the problem. The only thing I'm worried about is because of the way this thing was hooked up from the dealership. I'm thinking that, you know, this thing took, I think a little bit over 3/4 of a gallon of distilled water. So if this battery's got some damage because of that, then I may have to pull it out. But either one of these batteries, it'll be easier to pull out, you know, from this these two positions here. So I'm not really worried about it. So everything is hooked up. The charger is running. We don't know until charging cycle goes through with its thing whether or not everything is properly working. I'm hearing this battery hissing. I heard it can be normal and it could be also a sign of something else, so we're going to keep an eye on it. So let me come back in a few hours and see where we're at, what's going on, see if anything's getting hot. So here we are. Let's see, so it's been 12 hours, would be 3 a.m. and then another 7. So 19 hours, and all 3 lights are blinking, which means that the batteries are charged and they're in maintenance mode. Everything seems to be fine, but it took that one trolling motor battery here, this one here, it took this battery. I mean, even when I went to, I finished up about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and even about 10 o'clock last night, which was 7 hours later, it really wasn't doing much. And I was kind of concerned. I was like, well, I may have to get another battery. This morning I got up, it was showing that it was fully charged. And it seems to be staying that way instead of like reverting back to saying charge and then going back to half and all the weird stuff it was doing. I'm not hearing a lot of noise, that kind of like a carbonation kind of sound coming from the battery. I think we're good. I may cut out work early today and head up to local lake. I may just go up there and run around and just see how well these batteries, how much power I have in the trolling motor. It should last all day. One thing I can do is just make sure everything powers up properly. Let's just unplug this. Let's go over here to the motor. And before I go to a lake or anything, and starts up. Electronics are firing up just fine. Go over here to the electronics up front. It fires up just fine. Go over to the trolling motor. Squeeze through here. Let's see here. This is the one thing I don't like, and I may have a switch installed, because every time you got to put the power up the trolling motor, you got to plug it in. You can't just turn it on. So that fires up. Says it's fully charged. I mean, everything's normal. You just never know when you're hooking up a lot of electrical stuff that you pop a fuse in something and you end up, having something not working properly. So everything's charged and ready to go. I'm back in business. Happy to say.